Hey guys, hope everybody's well. So the long-awaited story, story of my life. Yeah, I'm so humbled and blessed to be able to bring you the story. I will do it in two parts so that you can take the first part, digest it, and then we get to the next part. So yeah, like I said, for those who still don't know me, I'm Elton France, and I'm a boy from Atlantis, all the way from Atlantis, Cape Town, South Africa. For my international friends, that don't know where I'm from Cape Town, South Africa. This is my story. So I was born many years ago. So I celebrated my birthday yesterday, but I was born a long, long time ago. So I was born a 7-month-old baby. Of course, with that came a lot of challenges that I had to face as a baby. I should not have been here today, but by God's grace, I am still here. So I was born a 7-month-old baby, and I came out with all kinds of illnesses and sicknesses. I won't mention too much of it, but yeah, there was a few challenges. Yeah, I was so small I could fit into a shoebox. That's what my mom told me. And I have the most amazing mother, and father was also there in the beginning stages, but my mother was very instrumental in everything that I was going through. So every day, I was born in a place called St. Monica's Home. So shout out if anybody who knows in Cape Town knows where St. Monica's Home is. I was in the hospital for about 3 months, where my mother had to come breastfeed me every single day. She had to come to breastfeed me and look after me since I was very sick. So that was for about 3 months. I was in hospital, and eventually I got released, and my life started. My mom was very instrumental in that period of time, still am today. So that time I was born, or I grew up in the AFM Church Atlantis. We were staying very close to our pastor, Pastor Labati. For the Atlantis people, you would know Pastor Labati from the AFM Church. So this guy would every day he would come in, just pray over me, and as I was still sick, he would come and pray over me and just declare things over my life. So through all of that, I started becoming better, and I kind of grew out of most of the things that I was facing that time. And I believe that it was the prayer of my pastor, my parents, the people in the congregation, in the church that time, that prayed for me. And from there, I started growing up. And at about age 4 is where I kind of discovered I have this love for music, especially in particular the drums. I had this love for drums. I really don't know how it came about, but yeah, it just suddenly happened. I knew that time that there was a love for this instrument, and from the age of 4, being in church all the time. That time in the AFM, we were still having church service in the classroom. It was before buildings and things like that. We had church in the classroom, and a guy called Russell Williams. That's where I first saw someone associated with rhythm and things like that. Because normally there would be a guitar in church, maybe a bass, and then your singers. There would not really be drums in church. But so what would happen? They would be playing in church, and he would, it's all school benches, and he would sit on the school bench, on this bench, and he would play drums with his hands, and it was sounding pretty good. He was playing on the church, on the benches in church while church was on. And then some days when he wasn't there, then I would start picking up just playing on this thing. From there it started growing. I started playing like that. Later, I'll delve into more of the music part of my life story. So for now, we'll just continue with my life. So obviously, the school, I got old enough to start school and things like this. I still had a challenge here or there with my chess, but I was kind of okay. I loved, as a kid, I loved playing, but me and PJ loved to play outside, and like normal kids would do. Then sometimes my mother would call us, say, "Guys, come in here," while we are playing on our nicest. So she would call us. We have to come inside, and then she would get us together. Listen to this part. She would get us together and say to us, "Okay, guys, today we're gonna sing." So she would call us in, and we would stand there. Our mind is on playing. We want to play outside. We don't want to. We want to do this, and we'd sing, and she would give us our voices. She would tell my sister Suzelle. She tells Suzelle, "Okay, you sing the first part," and then I would sing the lower part, the baritone, and she would sing also baritone, or she'll be in between the voices, and then PJ would sing the higher part, and then we would sing. And if you sing wrong or you sing out of tune, she would stop and say, "Okay, why are you singing? Why are you singing like that?" So this would go on, and we didn't know at that time that this was developing the harmony side of music for us. She was laying that foundation for us. So in this time already, my mom and dad, they already were divorced. I was brought up in a single home. My mom and dad got divorced. As a man or as a boy, I had to try to navigate my way through life without a role model as, like, a father. And that's why I want to tell all the fathers, if you can be present in your kid's life, most probably that will be a good thing, so that the kid don't have to try to figure out how to be a man and try to figure out how to navigate his way through life, which is very important. And then also, okay, going back with my story, by that time, as I said, my mom was a single mom. She had to work 2 jobs to make sure that we are looked after. She would do the weekly job. After she's done in the Friday with that job, she would go to the next job to get more money for the weekend. And so shout out to my mother, the queen of our hearts in our life. So we started growing up as kids, doing school, the schooling thing. Beginning for me, my childhood was kind of unsure, in the sense of I had to try to find out what is my identity, try to find out where would I go, as a man, because there was no role model in the sense of a man. There was a role model as my mom, but as a man, a guy, there was no role model at that time. And of course I had my pastor in church, but I needed that guidance. And of course, because of that, I got into trouble in school. Primary school already, I got into trouble, and I had this anger thing happening, got me into trouble a lot. So much that my mom had to come to school because of these things. In that time when I was going through these things, I really needed that guidance. But also, God was on my side as well, I would add. So going through my school journey, touch and go there. I was almost expelled from school. Thank God I made it through to get to the next standard. In high school, it kind of started for me. I was still not there yet. There was someone working in the office of the government. We would say the rent office. If the people know that time, how it was going in terms of rent and payments and things like that. So the mothers would stand in long queues, go and make arrangements, payment, and all those things. So I was one of those in that bracket where my mom had to do those things, and through that she met a guy called Mr. Howard. And a shout out to you, Mr. Howard, if you are still anywhere out there. This guy basically saved my life, because my mom, that point in time, my mom did not even know what to do with this kid. And she sent me to this guy, Mr. Howard. I was just go there, just chill, hang out. He would just speak to me about things, and help me, guide me, try to help me navigate my way through life. I'm so thankful and grateful. And that is also where the love of music grew even more, because he introduced us that time to the Winans Take Six. Those were the groups he introduced us to, and for the first time as young boys we heard this music on the LP. For you young people that don't know what it is, on the LP. I think it's coming back, so guys, you would understand maybe now, but through the LP, and we would lend these LPs and we would just listen. Me and PJ would listen to the songs and just think to ourselves, this is so beautiful. So we would do that and listen to it, get inspired by this harmonies going on, which was really amazing. So that was the first person I got in contact with that kind of was very important in my life, I would say, in that time. The second people, so as I was going through school, of course, I still had some challenges as a young kid. There were some teachers around there that was real ones. I'm thinking about Mr. Kibido. So I did my schooling at Atlanta Senior Secondary. So there was a few in that time when I did my schooling. There was like teachers like Mr. Kibido, the principal, Mr. Martinez, and a few others, more others. But I would just go through things. I would go to Mr. Kibido's office and just chill in his office. There in his office, just talk to him or just chill. He would do the talking. This was really helped me in my growing up. Mr. Martinez as well. And then I started, I really don't know how it came about, but the music side inspired me of listening to those harmonies. And I felt that time that I want to make something like a group together, doing to do something at school, So I eventually did it with a few of my classmates. We came together, and that time it was quite a few classmates coming together. We did this harmony thing together. That time it was the 2000s, Boys to Men and all those groups came out, and I made a group of maybe 6-7 guys together. Some of the guys that will watch this video, you know who you are. I think Denzel and his brother was still in that, as we call him, Spiker. So I did that group, and it started like that. We did sing, and it was really good until we phased it out, until I get 4 guys together that I really wanted with me. It was me. Later, PJ joined us at school. It was a guy we called Wax. Wax is, if you're still there, if you watch this video, you've been mentioned. Henry Hansen, for the people who can remember. Mervyn Breinkies, for the people who can remember. So we formed a group called, well, all the groups that time was called Boys to Men. So we formed that group, started singing at school functions and anything happening school-wise, and the music itself helped me to kind of grow as a person, and the obstacles that I was facing, kind of helped me grow out of that. Now I became more on the right side of the equation, not in trouble more, but now more like a role model in school. And yeah, that's what I did. I also loved sports. I was starting to play for the school rugby team. I loved rugby, so I played rugby. So this is where I got in contact with the Insectebond. This is only for the Atlantis senior secondary people that would know the Insectebond. So shout out to all the Insectebond guys. There's a lot of names, and I don't think I can mention all of the names, but you know who you are. I don't want to leave any names out, but the Insectebond was also part of who I am today. So we would walk on school as a group of guys, very popular with the ladies, of course. We'd walk as a group of guys, sing some songs, and just hang together, started playing rugby together, and somehow most of us that were working together, we were in the rugby team and we would play rugby together. Sport and music is the two things that can really change your life as a person. And I continued playing rugby for a while after school even. And so we were Boys to Men. We would sing all over Gantus, and we would sing at gospel concerts, even shows, you know. And this is like as I was growing up, this was happening. And then also in church, like in those years, so the church graduated from being in a classroom playing on the church bench now to being in a space where there's drums and things like that. And that's where I really fell in love. And I saw Russell Williams playing the drums, and I was like, my goodness, I really love this instrument. I would want to play it. And then as years go on, I started playing in church. By this time I was a teenager, so that's me, PJ, like in church. So we were the younger guys coming up in church as musicians. Of course, being from the AFM that time, it was taboo for youngsters to even touch music, touch the instruments. It was only the grown-ups that played the instruments, and there was a certain way it needed to be played. So in that time, jazz and these things came out, and you can imagine us as youngsters, we are in this thing now. And luckily, we had on a Thursday night, we had like almost like junior youth gathering, you know, where all the youngsters come together. And this was where for us, where we really would be so happy to do this thing. We could play our instruments, you know. Yeah, and that time we had this gathering of the youth, junior youth, and we as youngsters were so happy because we get to play the instruments, you know. The instruments is there. We would come early, and we come even before the youth gathering starts. We would come early and just play our hearts out, you know, just jamming. And then the junior youth will start, we would play, and then yeah, it would be so satisfying. And this is where we would just put everything in music, you know. Then the church brothers, they find out that we are playing these instruments, and they started locking it away in a room. Some funny story. They lock it in the room so that we can't get to the instruments. So me and PJ, we were more clever. We thought, okay, there's a lock, so we had always a lot of keys in our house. So we would come to the church, we take this whole bunch of keys, we will test every key. And one of the keys worked, and we were very happy. We open that room, we pack out the instruments, we play our hearts out, we pack it all back, we lock the room. It went on for a few months, and until the brothers found out, like, this stuff is not packed the right way. Something is happening. So they put a lock inside the lock of the door. And the day when we came to open this thing, it couldn't open. Luckily that time, we looked up and we saw the roof is not yet complete. So we climbed on the roof over, and we one by one we carried the instruments out of that room. We played, we put it back. But obviously we are young, we just want to do music. But the wall is white and you just see all the feet marks on the so they found out, and yeah, we got in trouble. Eventually we started playing, they let us play, you know, like Sunday evenings, until they couldn't anymore, you know, and they just left it for us, and we just started playing. And yeah, the rest is history. We fell in love with music, and we started playing in church. I never in my career growing up, I never had my own drum kit. There was no money to buy a drum kit, of course. I was working for ShopRite. You know, people that know ShopRite. I was the stacker for the sugar. I used to love my job. I was like that. I had a few jobs before I went into music professionally. if I can encourage some of the guys that wants to do music and you feel this is for you, before you do that, first get into the corporate scene and just get that experience to be in corporate, work little, and then you travel, because travel is not for everyone as well. Few jobs that I did, I worked for ShopRite, I worked in a hardware store. I used to love that job as well. All the hard work I just loved. I was the guy who would drive the little truck with the sand and stone. I was the guy that used the shovel to shovel the sand, to shovel the stone, to carry the cement and all those things. I was young, I was hungry to do something. I worked at Mediclinic. I worked at Mediclinic for quite a few years, more than 6 years I think, and I absolutely loved working there as well, as a driver, and then as a porter, and then as a driver, and then in admin. So I met a lot of people there as well in the corporate world. One of my close buddies that time was Nazim. Nazim, if you ever get to see this, being shout out to Nazim, Lena, Colleen, all those people that was there. It was quite cool. And then from there I got a job with another guy from Atlantis in health and safety, Quantec Safety. Shout out to Denver Mentor and his family. So I was working there for 3 years in the health and safety, and I really loved that job as well. So for me, I first wanted to see how the corporate thing works, and just in the event if I start traveling and I don't like it, I could come back and do something corporate, and I'll be okay. So yes, I did it for 3 years, and then eventually I decided to take a gig with my brother PJ, that was already in Dubai. So I decided this time I would join him on that gig, and that was the start of my 18-year career or journey in Dubai or in the Middle East. I think I would just conclude it here. I'll conclude the part 1 here so that we can go to part 2, the journey to Dubai, the career. Anything is possible, even though you start out on the negative side of life, challenges in your life. Like with me, I've been born with challenges, and then my dad left, and then I had all these challenges to face in school and growing up, peer pressure, all of those things that we go through. And it's even worse today with technology and things like that. That time we didn't have technology. For me, that came up as a drummer, there was no YouTube, there was nothing to do to check out music like that. The first time I ever saw a video of a drummer playing, I was blown away. I couldn't believe that you can see something like this on VHS. For the people that know VHS, so that's how I came up. And shout out to my guys in Mitchell's Plain, Sean, Keith, the brain. This is the people, Sean the Vries. This is the people that gave us the hookup with this kind of things that, we could drive there and they would get us the information we need. They would give us the VHS. I can go home, I can go check it out and all those things, Shout out to those guys, the guys I looked up to that time. All of the guys, Kenton. And like I say, I really am grateful for everybody was instrumental or is instrumental in my life still today, or in that time was. I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. So shout out to everybody along the way, friends that I met, people that I inspired as a musician, people that inspired me as an upcoming artist. So grateful for everything, even a special shout out to Jabu, the queen that was working with us for all these years. We will get into that stories later in a later stage. But for now, in part one, I just want to make mention of her name. And then also big shout out to my family, my mom, my sister Suzel, PJ, my brother, my dad, although he's not here anymore. Later years we started having that relationship together. My father, David, Xavier, Franz, my church family from the AFM, my church family now currently, Pastor Mike Adams and his family. Much love to everybody. Stay tuned for part 2. I hope this life story of my life will encourage the next person to do better or to inspire someone else with what you do. Cheers, everybody. See you in part 2.